Costa Rica, a slice of paradise and hundreds of perfect waves. The first time I came here, I was 23 years old and I had never surfed in my life before. First time I'm going to be in Costa Rica. Super happy to be here. To be honest, I have been this happy this entire year. These last 2 days have been the happiest of my year. I think that's also why this place is so close to my heart, because it's where I learned how to surf. Now, 3 years later, I'm back again for the third time. In this video, I want to share my surf journey with you and tell you how I went from this to this. I also interviewed some of the best surf coaches in Santa Teresa to give you guys 5 top tips on how to improve your surfing. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I'm currently in beautiful Santa Teresa, Costa Rica, and if you've been following my channel for a while, you probably know that Julia and I were already here last year and we actually spent 2 months here. We had such a great time last year, which is why we decided to come back. We're staying at the Lapoint surf camp here in Santa Teresa, just like last year. And last year we actually spent a couple of weeks here because we just kept extending and extending because we had such a great time. This video is going to be all about surfing, especially how to improve your surfing, which is what Lapoint is all about. So in this video I'm going to share with you my top 5 tips on how to improve your surfing, and I'm going to interview the surf coaches here at Lapoint, which are all really amazing surfers, and ask them to share their top tips on how to level up your surfing. Over the last years I've stayed at a couple of different Lapoint camps, and I think it's really fun to look back at my level back then versus now and to see how far I've come. I'm still a massive kook and I'm really, not a great surfer yet, but I think it's just nice to acknowledge yourself for the progress you've made along the journey. The first Lapoint camp I actually ever stayed at was the one in Teresa, Portugal. This was in 2019. Back then I was riding a foam board. I couldn't catch any waves by myself. I couldn't read the ocean at all. I was popping up on my knees, but I'm just going to show you some videos so you can see for yourself. Instructors at the camp in Portugal gave me some really good tips and they motivated me, which really inspired me to keep going. So after Portugal I really tried to surf as much as possible and just keep the momentum going. And then in 2020 I went to the Lapoint camp in Sri Lanka. Back then I was riding a hardtop. I think it was like a 7.6, kind of like this size. I was able to catch waves by myself and sometimes I was able to go down the line, but most of the time I was still really shaky on the board. I didn't really know what to do on the wave when I was on it. When I was in Sri Lanka, I think I made a lot of progress, which was mostly due to the surf video analysis. So during the lessons we got filmed, and then later on we would look at those videos and we got some pointers from the instructors there. I think one of the biggest things for me back then was actually to look down the line as I pop up, because I just used to look straight and then I would just go straight down and I wouldn't be able to actually ride the wave. Fast forward to 2021 when Julia and I came to the camp here in Santa Teresa. I think, speaking for the both of us, this is where we made the most progress. We were in the beginning still really scared when the waves were a little bit bigger, but we really overcame that fear during our time here. We really learned how to angle the board more going down the line. Also, one of the things I really wanted to focus on last year was to get into cross-stepping, because back then when I was riding a longboard I was just standing on it, I didn't know what to do, and I got some really helpful tips from the instructors here on how to do that. Let me show you some clips from exactly 1 year ago. I think it's really awesome to look back at those old videos and see your progress over time. Anyway, enough talking, let's go surfing. And after the surf I'm going to share with you my personal top 5 tips on how to improve your surfing, and I'm going to interview the instructors and ask them for their top advice on how to level up your surf game. Hey guys, so as promised, here are my top 5 tips on how to improve your surfing. These are some of the things that have personally helped me the most to get better at surfing. So tip number 1 is to go to a surf camp or to get a surf instructor. I think this is so crucial, especially in the beginning. You don't want to just go out there and have no clue what you're doing. It's really good to have someone to tell you what you need to focus on, what you need to improve, and also to teach you about the surf etiquette, because there's certain rules in the water you need to follow. If you don't know about these, you're really going to make a fool of yourself. No one in the lineup is going to like you. People are not going to respect you. I think going to a surf camp is just a really great opportunity because it's you taking the time for yourself and for your surfing. You know that, during that duration that you're at that surf camp, you're just going to focus on surfing. You're going to focus on getting better, and I think it's really nice to do that for yourself. But if you don't have the opportunity to go to a surf camp, I think getting an instructor is also another great option. I just think it's so important to have someone to look at you whilst you surf, because otherwise you're there and maybe catching a few waves or not catching any waves at all, and you just get frustrated. You don't know what you're doing wrong. And if you're with someone who knows what they're doing, they can give you tips, they can give you pointers, which is so important. And I think this is something that applies to everyone, no matter what level you're at. If you're a beginner, it's super important to get someone, and then once you reach a certain level, you can go practice by yourself. But even the professional surfers, they have coaches that film them, watch them, analyze them. And this ties in nicely with tip number 2, which is to do a video analysis of your surfing. So if you stay at a surf camp like Lapoint, they will do videos of you surfing, and then they'll look at them, pick them apart, and tell you what you need to do better. But even if you're not staying at a surf camp, you could get a friend to film you and just have a look at that video later on, because I think seeing yourself surf on video really makes you realize what you're doing wrong. If you're doing something wrong, like, I don't know, your arms are all over the place, and someone tells you, hey, your arms are wrong, you're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I feel like it doesn't really stick in your head that much. But once you see yourself on video and you see what you're doing wrong, you're like, oh no, I never want to do that again. And then the next time you go out in the water, you avoid that mistake. I think it's so helpful. Tip number 3, and this is a tip that I'm very passionate about, which is to get a bigger board. I oftentimes see beginners going out there in short boards, and I'm like, what are you doing? They go out with a short board because they think it's cool, they think it shows that you're a good surfer, and then in the end they just sit in a lineup and don't catch any waves. I think there's this misconception that the shorter your board, the better of a surfer you are. Having a short board does not mean that you're a good surfer, and especially in the beginning when you're trying to improve, I think oftentimes it holds people back because they're not catching waves, and catching waves is what is going to help you improve. So for example, the boards that I surf, I love longboarding. The board I surf the most is like a 9.4. Sometimes I also have a smaller board, which is a 7.4, but I barely surf anything smaller than that, just because for me it's more fun to have a bigger board and to catch more waves, and that way I'll also get more practice. Just rather catching waves than just trying to prove yourself that you're a good surfer by having a short board. Tip number 4 is to practice and to surf as much as possible. So for example, after I went to the surf camp in Portugal, I spent quite a lot of time in South Africa, and whilst I was there, I was trying to really make a point of going surfing at least twice a week. Even if no one wanted to come with me, I'd go by myself just to get that practice in. And then last year I spent quite a bit of time in Portugal, and I really try to go regularly, which I think makes such a big difference. If you really want to improve your surfing, maybe plan your next holiday instead of just having like a beach holiday. It can be like a little surf trip with your friends. And even if you don't have a surf holiday inside and you don't live by the ocean, you can still practice at home. You can practice your pop-ups in your bedroom, you can practice your arm movements, you can practice your cross-stepping. All those things are going to really benefit you when you get back into the water, because by doing those things at home, your body's really going to remember those movements. It's going to be your muscle memory, and it's going to help you improve your surfing a lot. And last but not least, my 5th tip is to really immerse yourself in the surf culture. I think surfing is so much more than just a sport that you'll do for like 1 or 2 hours a day. It's something that is like a lifestyle, as cheesy as that sounds. So I highly recommend following people on Instagram whose surf style you like. Whether you're into longboarding, follow those people that post those really cruisy longboard videos. I think a lot of people are starting to post more and more video surf content on Instagram as opposed to just photos. So it's really nice to follow these people and to see that content. And that way I think you can pick up on things they're doing that you like, that you want to integrate in your surfing. If they're doing something really stylish with their arms, you're like, oh, this looks nice, I want to try this too. I think it's really inspiring. And even on YouTube there's so many cool surf films. There are lots of like how-to tutorials, like how to improve your pop-up, how to do a bottom turn, whatever. Everything is on the internet, so make sure to use that resource and to really watch as much surf content as possible, because that way you're just really going to know how surfing is supposed to look like, what you're supposed to do, and I think that's really going to like get stuck in your head, so that when you surf you kind of know what's right and what's wrong. And then, you know, that extends back to like my second tip, video analysis. Then when you see yourself surfing on video, you can compare it to with how it's supposed to look like, and it's easier for you to spot your own mistakes when you know what it's supposed to look like. So yeah, really immerse yourself in a surf culture and follow lots of cool accounts on Instagram. So yeah, these are my top 5 tips on how to improve your surfing. I'm gonna go ahead now and ask the coaches here at Lapoint for their top tips. So yeah, let's see what they say. This is Michael, he's one of the head coaches here at Lapoint. What's your top tip for anyone to improve their surfing?
Well, my top tip will be to don't really worry too much about each wave that you're catching, because if you worry too much, sometimes you might get stressed. So really, like, enjoy the good ones, and the bad ones, just let it go.
That's a good one, thank you.
Thanks.
Jeremy, he's 2 times national longboarding champion and he's one of the coaches here at Lapoint. What's your top tip on how anyone can improve their surfing?
Well, I would say probably breath work, apnea, breath work, and just breath training. Would go for anything from level 1 to 2, 3, advanced. Even I do it after 19 years of surfing. It's something that helps you improve confidence, right? You feel way more confident, you can wipe out on big waves, you can go for big swells without feeling that you might drown or you might get into a bad situation. But it's something that at any level we can train. I think for anyone starting since level 1, first time in the water, if they want to feel better, you know, the first few weeks, the first few years of surfing is always kind of scary sometimes, and to boost your confidence, I would say apnea and breath work is the best option.
Awesome, thank you so much. So this is Matteo, he's also one of the head coaches here at Lapoint. Matteo, what's your personal top tip on how to get better at surfing?
I guess my top tip for everyone will literally be try to stay calm before approaching or taking off a wave, because to be able to perform your best skills or techniques, you have to firstly calm your thoughts and heartbeats, be completely mentally and physically prepared to be able to perform that. So you're going to be in more control of your next move. I think that's my top tip.
Yeah, that's a really good tip, because I think sometimes you get out in the lineup and you're so nervous, and then when you just sit there and like focus on your breathing, I think it's nice. And then also you're not like as scared, I think, when like a big set comes, because you're calmer. And
definitely, it's also a confidence booster apart than a skill developer. Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos. And if you have any tips that personally helped you improve your surfing, please do share them in the comments below.